It's a tuition fee. Guys, listen. For us to know where we are right now, again, I have to open up my tour guide book. Okay? Understand the capture of Jerusalem we read in the book of Samuel. Now we're reading the book of Chronicles. Understand what's happening. The land of Israel, after Solomon, splits into two kingdoms. The kingdom of Judea, which comprises the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, which has Jerusalem as its capital, and the kingdom of Israel, which are the northern tribes, the 10 northern tribes. They are captured later by the Assyrians. In fact, the reason why we talk about the 10 lost tribes is because they were lost because they were captured, they were then sent into exile, and they disappeared throughout history. That same Assyrian army is now laying siege on Judea. Jerusalemites are scared out of their mind. This is the same army that attacked and destroyed the 10 tribes. The existential threat to the Jewish people is so palpable, so real, that the prophet Isaiah has to come and calm the people down. At that time, the king Hezekiah, who was the king at the time, needs to make preparations for war. And one of the ideas that he makes for preparation of war is written in the following. After these things, Beccalsarahj melech Ashur, the king Sancherib of the king of Ashur of Assyria came into Judea, and he put into siege all the cities, the fortified cities that are around. And Hezekiah the king, saw that Sancherib was coming, and he was making his way to Jerusalem to make war. And he advised with his ministers and his heroes of war to close up the Gihon spring and all of the springs that are around it that are outside the city. And what he then did was to spring up and then built a tunnel that made his way into the city, saying to himself, why should the king of Ashur of Assyria come and find plenty of water? The water is outside of Jerusalem. Why should the foreign army come and find a plentiful water source? He closed up the source of water and then put the water and then directed the water under the city into Jerusalem itself, so that the Jews don't have to leave the city to get the water, and nor would the foreign army find the water and have plentiful and be able to lay siege indefinitely. That's what we're walking through right now. What we're walking through right now is called the Mikvah, the Chizkiyahu's tunnels. This is a tunnel that was literally carved out by the Judean army. Amnon asked, do we have any proof here that the Bible, the stories in the Bible, have any historicity to them? There's any historical fact to them? One of the most important historical findings that we find that bring the Bible as a historical source, not just as a theological source, but as a historical source itself, is Hezekiah's tunnel. We actually found the tunnel itself. We found the way they did it was that men from each side of the tunnel. In fact, everyone look at me right now. What I want you to do is, with your eyes closed, try to put your fingers together. Everyone close your eyes. No one's too cool. No one's too cool. Don't start it from an inch away. From a few feet away, try to make your tunnels come. How many of you missed? Almost all of you have missed. Okay? The reason why is it's almost impossible to do. Now, underground, without compasses, without GPS, I want two teams of men to try to find their way in the middle underground, and that's exactly what they did. From two opposite ends, the men started digging. The time was not on their side. Time was not on their side because war was going to happen. Therefore, they divided the men into two opposite ends. They met in the middle. What we actually have is an archaeological engraving, an actual inscription in ancient Hebrew at the point where the two groups met in the middle. Guys. Okay? Where the actual two teams actually met in the middle. The time they found it was in the 19th century. Who was in charge of Eretz Yisrael in the 19th century? The Turks. And therefore it's in the museum in Istanbul today. When we talk about biblical archaeology, one of the most important biblical archaeological points and facts that we're going to see is what we're going to see right now. We're going to walk in together. You have your flashlights. Yes.
Do they still think this is where the anointed king?
So that's the question. I didn't mention it now because the story that used to be was that this is where David and Solomon, were the kings of Judea, were anointed. To the best of my academic knowledge, we don't know that anymore. So I'll tell you that that's probably David's tunnel, and I'll tell you that's probably where David's men. I don't tell the story of David and Solomon anymore because I don't know. It is in this area. Whether it was here itself or behind us, that we don't know anymore, and that's why I don't tell the story.